Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and I think I've had an idea for a drinking game, Brad.
Go on then. I'm always up for a drinking game.
So I was sat watching The Budget on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought you could get really, really drunk if, watching The Budget with some alcohol, you just drank every time your blood boiled.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I agree. You get really drunk and really angry. Angry drunk, Johnny.
I think it's the only sane response to what is essentially 600 millionaires sat there doing nothing about the climate crisis and the cost of living crisis.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious they don't really care, eh? I guess the only answer is to go to the pub, probably, if you can afford to...
If you can afford to still drink.
Yeah, or find your pub still open.
Yeah, if it's not been boarded up. Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. There is no good news in the beer news section of this particular podcast because it's all gone to hell. And the government did nothing to help, although the headlines of lesser journalists would imply that they have by freezing alcohol duty in the UK. Doesn't help anyone, really. Maybe a little bit. The really big breweries might save them a couple of million quid over the year, but to a small brewery, it's almost nothing. And the idea that Jeremy CUNT tried to put across, which was this was saving people money, is beyond nonsense. Because I mean, the tiny saving that will be made will be wiped out by inflation in about 2 hours. And then it doesn't actually get passed on to the customer anyway because the pubs would try to... sorry, not the pubs. They don't pay alcohol duty. The breweries will try to keep it. So nothing has changed as a result of the budget. Hospitality is still in crisis. Breweries are still closing at an alarming rate. And in fact, one closed... I think it was the start of this week. They announced that they just couldn't make it work anymore and they were sick of it. So, yeah, I should have been drinking on Wednesday. But actually, I've barely had a drink. I had a London Black on Tuesday, interviewing somebody...
nice.
For my West Veteran article, actually, an old cave colleague. But yeah, I should have been drunk on Wednesday, not Tuesday. Got the days wrong.
So you had a London Black, shout out Anne's Patch Holiday, one of my favourite beers of last year. You had that locally in Hitchin, yeah? Where? Tell us where, because that's cool that you can drink that where you live now.
Well, at the beer shop.
Is that the beer shop? Yeah,
it's a I think it's a semi-permanent line. I think it is the stout. Well, sorry, the porter line. Yeah,
brilliant, fantastic.
Yeah, although it wasn't as nitro as I was hoping. I don't know whether they didn't serve it with nitro gas or something. Something was a bit strange, but the flavour was great.
Was Vin Diesel down behind the counter trying to add more nitro, or maybe there was someone trying to stop him adding more nitro?
I couldn't see the link for a long time now. I was like, why is Vin Diesel? Oh, I see. It's a Fast
I was going to say Paul
game.
Walker, but then I thought that was bad because he's dead.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily bad, just illogical. Well,
yeah.
Only slightly more illogical than Vin Diesel doing the bar tech for a beer shop in Hertfordshire.
But he's all about family, and Hertfordshire's a nice family place to live.
Is that right?
Family. Yes, it is. Yeah. So I could imagine Vin Diesel like with his massive arms, just at the bar. He could be single-handedly carrying massive crates of, like not even crates, like a whole pallets of beer off the back of a truck in his little wife beater shirt, not even breaking a sweat. And, suddenly somehow Hertfordshire, that little part of Hertfordshire has got a Hollywood sort of glamour glow, and the light is like a beautiful golden California light. And he's just out there just being a family man, like he's left the cars behind Johnny. He's left the outlaw lifestyle behind him. He's moved slightly to the countryside. He's got grown up. He's had some kids, and now he's done the ultimate hipster move, and he's opened up a little shop where you can go and drink craft beer. Yeah, I reckon.
Having never seen the Fast and the Furious, that meant almost nothing to me. But I think I can tell what you're trying to say.
Johnny, have you never watched any Fast and the Furious movies? I failed.
Most films that released are Fast and Furious movies at this point, right?
Damn. I think they're up to about 11 or something. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just not ever interested me.
Oh, we're gonna watch some, Johnny. If we ever get to travel to Tokyo or anywhere like that, mate.
Why Tokyo?
I don't know, because it's a long flight.
Right. Okay.
Or we go. To
oh,
the
so
West
we're gonna
Coast
watch all 11 on the way to Tokyo,
dude. We're gonna try to watch a few. So let's say about 5 each way.
That feels like a video by Mr. Beast. Like we watched all the Fast and Furiouses, Fast and Fury,
fuck, yeah,
in a row, yeah. And then it would just be like people crying with red eyes and horror.
Dude, you'd be crying, all right, from the emotion of some of those movies. No, but no. I've just thought I think there might be more than 11 because there's an offshoot one called Hobbs and Shaw as well, which might be
Hobbs and Shaw,
which has got the Rock in it and Jason Statham. And it's
I kind of assumed The Rock and Vin Diesel were basically the same people. You never see them in the same room.
They kind of are, but The Rock is actually a mountain of a man, whereas Vin Diesel. Look, I'm not saying I could beat him up because I couldn't, but The Rock could definitely pummel him.
I'm glad you made that clarification.
Yeah.
Just in case he's listening.
Yeah. He's not in. I don't think his physique is that impressive, Vin, but his voice certainly is.
What are you doing, man? Why are you trying to make an enemy of Vin Diesel?
I'm not. I like it. I appreciate his work. His voice work is very good. And I like the way he says family.
Can I clearly? Can I ask a question about Vin Diesel?
Go on.
Is it short for Vinny? Is it French for wine? What is that first name?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't even know. I think I'm just looking on Wikipedia, Johnny, and he calls himself Vin Diesel, but that's his professional name. His actual name is Mark Sinclair.
Jeez, no wonder he changed that.
Mark Sinclair. One of the world's highest-grossing actors, best known for portraying Dominic Toretto in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Yeah, cool. Wow. He's good. He's in Band of Brothers, isn't he? I think. Is he in Band of Brothers? No, he's in Saving Private Ryan, which is unexpected. You're like, oh, it's Vin Diesel. Yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed he's not in Band of Brothers because everybody is. It's one of those TV shows where you just sort of keep pointing and go, oh, it's him and him and him and him,
mate.
It's even got the guy from Office Space in it.
Yeah, it has. He's great. I love that guy. He's got a show called Loudermilk.
Yeah.
Have you watched Loudermilk? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great. I was watching that a few years ago, before anyone knew what it was, and now I think a lot of people are aware of it. It's on Netflix, so go and watch Loudermilk.
Yeah,
it's all about addiction and being
very dark comedy.
Yeah, flawed human kind of stuff, but great, really, really great.
Anyway, let's talk about beer. We've done what we usually do, which is mostly talk about film. And there's lots of beer news this week. Firstly, the gutting
There is.
news that Meantime as a production space is no more. That's been brought in-house into Fuller's alongside Darkstar. Although from what we can tell, there's going to be like a microbrewery still on that site and presumably the tap room, because I think they just redone it.
Yeah, tap room was looking great, so hopefully they'll keep the tap room. I still really miss. I mean, they don't own it anymore, but they had a great site down right on the river by the Naval College in Greenwich. I think it was, I can't remember what it was called.
You always talk about it. It's in the Royal Naval College, but I don't think they've had it for about a decade.
Yeah, I know.
It's a long time since that went.
I had local friends, texting me this morning about the news.
Oh, it's broken out into the mainstream, has it?
Yeah. And some of them were like, they didn't even know that the one in the Naval College had shut. And I honestly think that was a decade ago.
I think that's Meantime's big issue, isn't it? It's sort of frozen in this, I'd say, like 2010 to 2014 era where it was everywhere in London. It was like the good, reliable pint in London.
Yeah.
And then Camden came along and sort of muscled it kind of out of the way. But yeah, that was its role, and I think a lot of people still think of it as back then. I mean, it's done some cool stuff recently, including our documentary that we made with them. But it's a real shame. It's one of these tricky things where you're like, well, if it makes business sense, if the other alternative is like the brand dying, then perhaps something should be done. But it's a very strange situation to have. Meantime, like super modern, initially German-inspired and American-inspired keg beer brewed at London's home of cask ale.
Yeah, it is. I mean, on paper it sounds bad, but yeah. I mean, like you say, if it was between that and losing such a storied, important brand from existence, then I guess we kind of have to roll with it.
Give them benefit of the doubt, I guess, is the phrase. From that sad news, lots more. Well, actually, no. I started with the budget, so let's finish the budget. They've done absolutely nothing. The industry is in crisis, which I think might explain the next bit of news about 132,000 pints of suspected illegal beer being seized in Scotland.
Yeah, it was. There's a couple of photos on BBC News, which you can't really see. They've opened up the side of the lorry, and
it
all
looks like
I can
cans,
make
doesn't
out,
it?
it's all cans. You wouldn't. First of all, you wouldn't think that was 132,000 pints because they're cans, which are smaller than a pint. So presumably that means there's more than 132,000 cans in that shot. I see some of them are very orange. And that's all I can make out, really. They look like Lucozade cans.
Well,
or
yeah,
maybe
it might.
Beavertown.
It might not just be beer that was smuggled.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to do the math. So I think it's 72 cases on a pallet. So 72 times 24 is 1,400-ish, bit more per pallet. So you'd need. I mean, it depends how big the cans are. I'm not going to get there. But yeah, I agree. It doesn't look like 132,000 pints. Maybe there was more than one lorry.
Yeah. I like that they spent 6 days doing this operation, Johnny. I feel like there's more important things to worry about.
Well, I don't know. It says that the HMRC spokesman said disrupting criminal trade is at the heart of HMRC's strategy to clamp down on the illicit alcohol market, which costs the UK around $1 billion a year.
Yeah, I mean, I look.
I don't know whether he's saying that their strategy to do it costs $1 billion, or whether like the lost tax that would have been paid on that alcohol is costing $1 billion. Probably similar amounts.
Yeah, definitely. They've got some long binoculars on that. Probably cost quite a lot of money. I imagine they're quite teched up. These Brooklyn Nine-Nine style crew that are doing these things. I mean, look, I don't think that 1 billion is going to be mostly made of beer, is it? It's going to be made of liquor.
Spirits will be much more efficient.
Yeah.
You get a lot more in a van.
You sure do.
Money's worth, yeah.
So, well, okay, Johnny, I'll pose a question to you then. If we were illegal smugglers of pints, if you were an illegal smuggler of a pint, Johnny, what illegal pints would you be smuggling into a Scottish port?
Well, I think the new Omnipollo pastry stout, which I think was on Beer Merchants at £59.
Oh wow! Okay,
I'd be smuggling in those bottles, getting a lot of bang for your buck there.
so you'd be in it for the money, not necessarily for something you wanted. I was thinking you might be like Dream Beer. What
Oh,
Dream
okay.
Beer?
Oh, so I've got to not think like a hardened criminal,
No,
but
no,
a criminal who happens
no.
to be a beer geek.
I like your take on it. I think you can think however you want.
Oh, right,
You took
okay. Thanks.
the criminal approach, whereas I might take the more like Robin Hood style approach.
Oh, so what you're robbing the rich to give to the poor? What are you giving the poor?
Yeah, well, just bringing in stuff which is hard to get hold of.
Right.
So I'd bring in some Pliny,
Okay.
younger as well as older.
Oh, right. Okay. So you've got to do it in February/March.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they'll know when I'm coming because I'll
Right.
be
Yeah.
I'll be bringing it.
We won't need
Yeah.
a 6-month sting operation. They'll just be sat at the
Yeah.
port for most of March waiting. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'd be bringing in Allagash White, although you can now get that in the UK, right? Or very soon.
Very
you'll
soon
be able to
you'll get Allagash. Yeah. So that'd be a real waste of time.
That will be a waste of time. But I could undercut the market, Johnny. I could take control of the white. Move some Allagash White, some powder amongst the. I was trying to get there without
Some coriander powder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move some powdery.
Do you know,
white.
I'm going to tell you this live. I haven't told you this yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this live on the podcast, but I have managed to get hold of some
Yeah.
Pliny, some Blind Pig, some Heady Topper, and some Focal Banger.
You've kept that very quiet, Johnny.
It's
Suspiciously
headed
quiet.
straight for the studio. In fact, I'll get the shipping notice any moment today.
Okay. Where have you got that, or is this illegal?
Well, there was a lorry that came into Scotland a couple of weeks ago.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It was the other lorry, yeah? You got it on the other
Yeah,
lorry
I've got the
that
other
didn't get
lorry.
burned.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Exactly.
The one that said, like, Hermes on the side of it. And they were like, it could, they're never, Hermes never delivers anything, so they couldn't be suspected of,
True, yeah,
a
just an
mastermind
empty
plan.
van that doesn't know where it's going, I presume. Yeah.
With just loads of bashed up, slightly ripped open boxes with no labels on. Cool, that's great. Well, hopefully we get to film those together.
No, that's it.
I want to get involved.
The reason I went on the hunt is because we're going to be doing. We've got our next homebrews lined up, next bit of homebrew content, and we will be inspired by Heady. So I went on the hunt for Heady, and came across a bit of Pliny while I was at it. Just by accident.
Was this in UK side, or is this sort of like?
I'm not gonna divulge my sources.
Okay, I feel like the people are going to want to know. You're going to get loads
They
of
are.
comments.
They are.
In the hashtag. Tell us, Johnny. Tell us.
Hashtag tell
Spill
us,
the-
Johnny. That could...
Hashtag spill the beans, Johnny.
No, not gonna.
Damn you.
It's my secret sauce now. Although
you.
I can't go to my secret sauce very often because it's probably more expensive than powder. So you'd be bringing in Allagash White. I mean, I'm going to presume. Well, actually, I don't know what I'm going to presume. Crappy lager, but there just can't be much money in doing that. So I'm a bit
Weird,
confused
isn't it?
by this.
They're not going to be big rare beers, right? They're cans. We can see they're clearly cans. So are these just like cheap continental beers that have been smuggled via Ireland, or are these come over from America? Ireland has a special relationship with America, doesn't it? In a lot of ways, if you're an American citizen, you can go through the border thing easier, I believe, in Ireland, and same the other way. If you're Irish, you can get through the border thing easier in America. So I wonder whether there's that sort of thing going on with
No, I mean
lorries as well.
it's going to be Carlsberg and that kind of stuff, isn't it?
What, those orange
132,000 pints. If you're selling them, you're going to be selling those cans for more than £1. So I guess you've made yourself $100,000 there.
It just doesn't make any sense, does it? By the volume of it, right? You might as well bring in 1/10 of the volume of cheap vodka, and you're going to make more money.
Yeah,
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I mean, I presume there's probably some pub chain that's buying it, or an off-license chain that's buying it, or something. You got to supply what your customer wants, because of course you can only get through so much vodka.
Whereas
beer is Always in demand.
I mean, I think that orangey one could be
Illicit Lucozade.
Could be either illicit Lucozade or neck oil, because that is incredibly orange, that can.
But why would you be sneaking?
I don't know.
Yeah,
some mastermind plan, Johnny.
I think it's Orangaboom.
Orangaboom.
Demand for that hasn't dropped off, has it?
No, it could be Orangaboom. That's true.
Got another bit of news you don't know about. It comes from a pretty unusual website, bleepingcomputer.com.
Great name.
Yep. So Duvel has been hit by a ransomware attack.
No way.
Yeah. So they're currently not brewing while they sort it all out.
Is this, have they held their industrial machines hostage? Is that what's going on?
I think the robots are going to turn on the brewers. So they've had to. No, they're not brewing at the moment, I guess, because. Well, I don't know why they'd stop brewing. Maybe because it could affect their equipment and cause serious issues.
Well,
that's what the ransomware are doing.
It sounds like a Stuxnet scenario, doesn't it? You know, Stuxnet. It was the project that the Iranian nuclear program was derailed by this tiny little bit of code, Stuxnet, which just got in all the computers and then basically shut it down.
So it's like a chain email.
Yeah.
Just clogging it all up.
Well, it looks it all. Basically, I was watching a video. I think his name's Johnny Harris. You probably know him on YouTube. He's very good journalist. I think he's Johnny Harris. Let me just have a quick look. And I was watching a video. Johnny Harris. About this kind of thing. But basically, all of the big superpowers and world governments have all infiltrated code into each other's critical systems. So your national grids, your water supplies, everything. Even things like nuclear power plants and stuff will have tiny little bits of code that are just waiting to be weaponized should it all kick off. So they all basically let each other know they've done this, and it's a kind of same thing as a nuclear deterrent where they know, they all know everyone else has done it, and that means that none of them can hopefully pull the switch and just wipe each other out from a technical standpoint. But yeah, it sounds very Stuxnet.
So we need a beer version of that. We need mutually assured destruction within the beer industry, because it's probably who's Duvel's great rival? Lef? Maybe AB InBev did it.
God damn! Let's not start that rumor. Yeah, it's an interesting one, full of intrigue, Johnny. There's some industrial espionage going on there.
You'd have thought there would be bigger targets to go for. Well, I guess maybe you think Duvel Maltcat is a massive company, like multi-million dollar, euros in revenue, and maybe they think that a brewery isn't quite so prepared against a ransomware attack. So easy pickings from a big company might have been their thinking.
Yeah.
And they're clearly not Belgian thinking about it, because if they were Belgian, they wouldn't disrupt beer. It's too important.
No. And they knew not to go up against the computer monks.
Exactly, so West Letteren would have... Yeah, they'd have been hot on it. They'd have known.
Yeah. If you were a computer monk hacking crew, what would your hacking monk crew be called?
This summer, I'm going to be hosting talks at the Manchester, Bristol and London craft beer festivals, giving festival goers the chance to attend tutored tastings, rare beer pours, meet the brewers and even guided tours of the bars. These 3 festivals are the highlights of my events calendar, featuring some of the world's best breweries with delicious restaurant pop-ups, great music and a really welcoming party atmosphere. It's the 3rd year I've been hosting the We Are Beer Tastings table, but for the first time I'm delighted to offer all of our listeners, viewers and Patreons £5 off a ticket when you use the code CBC5. Just hit the link in the description to buy. See you there. Right, do hacking crews have names?
Yeah, they do.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. What, have you not watched Hackers, the movie?
No.
Come on, Johnny. What, you've not watched Hackers? What the? Are you serious? With Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie, where they're riding around on rollerblades, and it's very 90s. And
I think you've just answered your own question there.
Oh, man. That's great. I mean, I'm sure hacking crews are exactly the same now as they were in the 90s, but they wear some incredible...
They're still on rollerblades.
They wear some incredible outfits. They go to really cool underground nightclubs with skating ramps inside them and like full virtual reality rigs that they can jump into in their really cool like motorcycle outfits, like full levers, but they're like really colourful, like something out of Akira.
I think I'd rather watch Too Fast, Too Furious.
They've all got like
Wait, is that the second one? I don't know.
That's the second one, I believe.
Right.
They've all got like great sort of pixie haircuts and like acid washed hair, and they look really cool.
Was acid washed hair ever cool?
I don't know whether it's called acid wash, but Johnny Lee Miller's got like white,
you just
blonde
mean like
hair.
Yeah, bleached.
Angelina Jolie looks amazing in it. She's very beautiful with her little pixie cut, like a little pixie wizard.
Brad, let's get you back on topic. What would the name of your back on topic? Okay. What would the name of your hacking group be? You've forgotten.
Gods.
Okay.
Gods.
Yeah.
Brothers of the Darkness. Brothers of the Darkness. Brothers of the Infinite Darkness.
Okay. Yeah. It's getting there. Keep workshopping it.
Yeah, okay. I'll come back to you later with a better one.
Good.
What's your one? Have you got one?
No, I haven't got one. No, that's why I'm spinning out yours. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was too busy chatting about Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
To actually have remembered anything, but I did have one in my head, but yeah.
And it went. That's a real shame.
Yeah,
we'll never know now because Angelina Jolie and her pixie cut.
Yeah.
Should we talk about this week's video?
Oh, it's that time, is it? Yeah, go on then. Let's have a chat. Let's dive into it, Johnny.
So this week was the last in our series about our 10th birthday brews, released no less than 6 months after the festival at which we served the beer. And that may have been clear to anybody that has any experience in video editing or just has some speakers, because the audio was not great at points.
The audio was a bit poopy at the beginning, for sure.
And that was due to we lost some footage somehow. We're still unsure.
It doesn't happen often.
No.
But when it does happen, it's pretty devastating.
It's absolutely brutal, especially when, like, we have lost footage before, but it's never been the main cam. So we only had the side cam with the backup shotgun microphone rather than the lapel mics and the camera we actually look at.
Yeah.
So
we lost a whole interview as well, to be fair.
Yeah, a whole interview with Darren, the owner of Siren. So it was gutting. That happened, but so it took a long time for me to salvage the audio and get it to where it was, and it sounded okay, but it was more it was the loss of Darren and the loss of the camera we're actually looking at that bugs me most. But it was still a great video, particularly the chat with Sean. Yeah, like, I thought that was a really interesting discussion about, because everybody has in their head what a West Coast IPA is, but everybody's idea of it is quite different depending on when they were introduced to West Coast IPA.
Indeed. I think he's so great. He's such I don't know if courageous is the right word, but he's like a courageous brewer. He's not really afraid of just sort of doing things, right? And just really going for it, which I think awesome.
I think it's in Siren's DNA. Like, they'll try new styles constantly. The first Brute IPA I ever had was brewed by them. Like, they're constantly trying stuff, constantly experimenting, constantly putting names to things that might not last, that might last. You know, they still have that kind of 2013 mindset of craft beer can be whatever you want it to be, and you can call it whatever you want it to be, and eventually these things will sort themselves out. And that's backed by brilliant brewing processes and great recipe writing and lovely people. That means they can get away with being, outside of their core range, which is very strong and very recognizable, pretty chaotic in what they release. You never quite know what Siren's about to do.
I love that too. I think they're brilliant. Honestly, one of my favourite go-to. I just think they've done such a great job over the years of bringing new people into craft as well. Like, big gateway sort of brewery for sure. I think it was the loudest brew floor I've been on ever. With the
that was
music.
bugging you, wasn't it? It wasn't your kind of music either.
I mean, I don't mind. I feel like there was some industrial music going on. There was some really heavy music going on. I don't know what it was. I can't remember exactly. I'm not averse to very heavy music, but I was like, this is already quite a machiney place. I feel like having really machine heavy music is just making me feel a little bit.
I feel like Nine Inch
anxious.
Nails is probably the perfect music for
I love
a
9 Inch
heavily
Nails.
industrial.
They
space.
weren't playing 9 Inch Nails.
They weren't playing 9
playing
Inch Nails, but it was occasionally that
something
kind
else.
of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it was properly heavy, real heavy. But yeah, whatever gets you going, I suppose, you know.
Keeps the beer vibrating in the tanks as well, which helps with hop saturation.
Yeah, of course.
That's not true, but the lambic producers believe that keeping the beer moving is important in their big fooders, interestingly enough. So some of them do play music. I think it was Lindemann's maybe one of them plays music in their barrel store. I can't remember which one.
Mate, I've just thought
Probably a story for the tourist.
The most hypey thing that you could, like, you know, talking to a beer geek, they just see them across the street coming towards you. They've got their earphones in, and you go, "Hey, what are you listening to?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm just listening to a lambic playlist. What they play the yeast in one of these fucking places."
They'd be like, "Sorry, I asked."
It's gonna happen, Johnny. It's gonna happen. That's gonna be a hot drop.
I'll have to find out what the lambic playlist is, and then maybe we'll provide a link to it so that people can listen to it and see if strangers ask.
Mm-hmm. Some deep cuts on there, I reckon. Some acid house, some free jazz.
I think you're giving lambic producers too much credit there.
They're wacky. They're a wacky bunch. I reckon there's some wacky stuff on there.
Oh, there is, but I don't know whether I don't know. My experience of music in Belgium is not that strong.
More Eurobeat.
There was a very strange night when I went when I was working at Cave Direct, and we go over to Belgium sort of 2 or 3 times a year, and we ended up at like a jamming night, a jam session in like a jazz bar in
nice.
I think it was in Ghent.
Hmm.
And so one of the people that used to work at Cave, who you met, Bryn, was in the Holloways.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
If you don't know who the Holloways are, they did Generator, which was a huge, huge hit in, I don't know, like 2005-ish, 6-ish?
Maybe, about then. Yeah, for sure.
But so me and him went up on stage and we played Johnny Be Good and sang.
Great. That's cool.
After, I mean, I don't know how cool it was, to be honest, because I remember the Belgians being a bit put out. I think Bryn took somebody's hat, and we were very drunk, so probably my soloing was not strong.
Not up to your drops of Jupiter. Oh, you were on guitar.
I was singing and on guitar, yeah.
Multitasking.
But yeah, I guess I probably have to send my apologies to oh my god, who played Johnny Be Good? Come on, brain. Chuck Berry. There we go. It came. Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
So apologies, Chuck, up there in the sky. Anyway, so this video, we were brewing a modern West Coast IPA. So the modern West Coast IPA is a dialed down malt character, bone dry, strongly bitter, less juicy, clear IPA. I think that was right.
It's about right, yeah.
Yeah. So modern West Coast or Californian IPA, inspired by the likes of sort of Green Cheek. So it's all about the hops, you know, which actually a lot of the older school West Coast IPAs have become. You know, Pliny has almost no real malt depth to it anymore. It is very much about the hops and a little bit of biscuit, whereas it would have had more caramel character, and we know from our interviews with Vinny that he does change the recipe. So it's kind of the way that most West Coast IPA has gone. But we took it a bit further. It had some slightly juicy character. It had some coconut cream kind of vibes from the Talus.
Sure did.
Pink grapefruitiness. I thought it was a stunning beer, and I was really glad that we did 2 West Coast, which I was a bit worried was too much when we came up with a list of beers, but they were so different, with the Beak one being very much down the guess the kind of Racer 5 element, like, big kind of caramel sweetness and big piney bitter aromatics, whereas this one was a bit more nuanced and complex and fruity.
That was. I'm less nuanced, so I preferred the embers. Sorry, but still, what a fantastic beer from Siren. Like, it had the slightly coconutty thing, which I'm not a massive fan of, but in that I could deal with it. It wasn't like overwhelmingly coconutty.
No, it was and that's what's great about Talus and Sabro. I mean, you can obviously use them as the entire kind of hot bill and have a lot of fun with that, but there's all these people, like, it seems to be the same people that go like, oh, all New England IPA tastes the same, and the same people saying, oh, I hate Talus and Sabro, and you're like, well, this is how we find points of difference. You can't dislike something tasting the same, and then when we come up with options, you say you don't like it. I think there's a lot of dislike for Sabro and Talus, but I think in the right quantities, they can really add something to the complexity of both hazy and West Coast IPAs. And on their own, they can make something pretty remarkable, but not up everyone's street. But some people, Andrew Steer 8860 says this was the beer of the festival for me.
Nice.
So people really did love it. I have picked out actually something we were just talking about, really, but Just Dutton says, love Siren methodology, never afraid to try something different, never afraid to swerve off the road, much like this podcast, to push the boundaries of craft brewing. It's what excites in this industry instead of those brands that stick to core ranges, and even when they release a new beer, it feels like ones they've done before with a new label slapped in front of it, which is how most breweries work. Don't be too down on breweries that do that. If you've got a great double IPA recipe, don't change it too much, just mess around with the hops and find new things that way. I mean, that's just, you can't reinvent the wheel every time, otherwise you're just sort of doing what we did in the 2014s, which was forcing experimentations on drinkers, and that was when I think craft beer was at its lowest quality point.
Agreed. We had a comment from Ed. West Coast is the best coast. Got a lot of love for Siren. I think they're a gateway into craft beer for a lot of people. Same opinion, Ed. I think that is spot on, mate. They sure are. I think that stands out. Kaveen Dravas Evan. I can't pronounce it. 100 IBUs. Is the Bitterness Arms race back on? It's also poetic how his playlist went full circle from your two brews that day. Nice touch, gents.
Yeah, totally on purpose.
Yeah,
totally on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, once I realised that was what was happening, I sort of lent into it because I could have done with a bit more time to edit the Omnipollo, but I went for this one first. Went for that one first because I thought it was nice. I was intending to put more of the elusive stuff in there. But then it was coming up as quite a nice short video, so I thought I'd put it out into the world and see how it did if it was 10 minutes shorter than most of the other ones. And views-wise, it's actually done quite well. So who'd have thought it? Shorter videos under 25 minutes do well on YouTube. Somebody should tell Mr. Beast. The bitterness of the beer, it didn't come out at 100 IBUs in the end. That was the theoretical, so what you'd expect to get. And usually the actual perceived bitterness is a lot lower. So it wasn't like meltingly bitter, but it was probably like 60, 70 I'd have hazarded a guess at if I didn't know the recipe. It was robust, but still very, very sessionable.
Like Vin Diesel.
Robust but sessionable. What is a session with Vin Diesel?
That sounds a bit too sexual, but
right,
robust,
okay.
certainly.
More, a little more than intended. Right, yeah. Noted.
When he's in your local pulling the pints, Johnny.
Right, okay.
Talking about family. Yeah, I reckon he could have a good chat with Vin.
You reckon?
About all sorts of things. Yeah.
I think he's
I'm being cynical. I think he's a bit of a deep thinker, probably.
Oh, right. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. I think he wanted to be like a proper actor and everything. I'm sure I've seen him when he's very young and he's in like legit movies, and then he just got a taste for the money from
the money.
Yeah. But you can't blame him. You can't blame him.
No, I mean,
Johnny.
it must
You
be a lot of
can't-
money if he's one of the
Yeah,
highest grossing actors in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Setting up his family for life.
Right? It's pretty
It's
good.
all, all about family.
It is all about family.
See, I'm learning this.
You're
now.
learning. You are learning. You're a fast learner.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was the video. I think it's a really great video. There's a lovely chat about the state of IPA, I guess, today. Siren have some good news.
Yeah, they do.
To share in that their bar is now edging closer and closer to being open. So we've now seen some pretty exciting artists' impressions of what the bar's going to look like, and it's going to be quite a special addition to the centre of Reading. Yet another reason to go to Reading, as if you didn't need another. Actually, it's got great pubs, to be fair to Reading, so it'll be an addition to that. But I'm very excited to visit that for the first time. I don't think they've given a date yet as to when it'll open.
No, but imminently. Well, maybe not quite imminently, but soon.
Do you want to be any more vague? Not imminent, but soon.
Soon. Soon, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Maybe summer or something. They're advertising festivals and putting dates on that as far as when's their 11th anniversary party? Oh, that's 16th of March. Okay, it's a couple of weeks away. Yeah, it could be soon. If not imminent, soon. And we are excited about that. Cool. Well, that's about all we've got time for. Is there anything we need to add this week? This has felt like a fairly condensed,
quite coherent
film podcast.
Yeah, almost there. We've got coming up. We've got St. Patrick's Day coming up.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, next week's video. You tell them about it, Bradley. Well, I don't know what to say.
We are gonna be doing. I'm calling them air quotes Guinness cocktails, Johnny. Guinness cocktails from the internet. So we're going very highbrow with some of them, very lowbrow with other ones of them. Maybe guess in the comments or give us some suggestions of Guinness cocktails that you might have heard of, or if you're an idiot, you might be drinking on St. Patrick's Day. Because I don't know, I'm not sure about them. Johnny. I'm really not. But
no,
some of them.
I don't think at any point did we improve Guinness or the Whiplash beer that we used.
No. But I tell you what, they look amazing, and they're a lot of fun. Some of them smell weird and taste weird. Others use very, very premium products, which I tried to get us to buy cheaper because we join our Patreon because we're going bankrupt with our shoot days. But it was. I think we felt a little bit tainted or something by shooting it, didn't we? We felt like we were crawling the gutter a little bit as we were making this. But do you know what? I think the video is pretty good, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun, Johnny.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, we had a lot of fun. I just hope that everybody that watches does. Yeah. You're gonna be amazed. You're gonna be disgusted, possibly. You're gonna be enthralled. You're gonna chuckle at points. You might want to vomit a little tiny back of airplane seat bag at others. It's gonna be a wild Irish roller coaster, Johnny. Why don't you hype up all our other videos like this? Why does it take
I don't know.
Smirnoff Ice to get you excited?
Oh, you've only gone and told one of them now, Johnny.
That's not even the worst one.
It's not by far. By far. We won't go into that though, because you'll have to tune in next week.
You'll have to tune in 4 p.m. on Wednesday. You can see the horror show that is Guinness Cocktails with the Craft Beer Channel, and we'll be going through what I assume is going to be a bin fire of comments in next week's podcast. So look forward to that as well. Right, that's all we have time for then. It's love and beer from me.
And it's love and beer from me.
That worked. See you Wednesday, folks. The Bubble and Friday 5 p.m. podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's Craft Beer Channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/The Craft Beer Channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.